Oh, we have a lot of fun with this topic with a lot of artists, and now it's a question we ask almost everyone we interview. What crazy things happen to you either on stage or off stage with a fan? Sometimes that includes something that happened on stage. The crazy fan story can be something that is up on that stage that everyone else can see, right? We asked the guys in Kansas, craziest thing that's ever happened to you via a fan on Rock History Music. The music of Kansas has been described as symphonic, incorporating orchestral elements and creating that grand, sweeping sound. Progressive, their complex song structures and innovative compositions align with the hallmarks of progressive rock. Of course, Kansas are epic. The best example of that would be their most popular song, Carry On Wayward Son. Like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, Carry On Wayward Son was one of those songs that people literally stared at the speaker when they first heard it for the first time in the 70s. Lyrical. Their music often features profound and poetic lyrics, exploring deep themes and storytelling. It's melodic. Kansas is known for their strong, memorable melodies that's always resonated with listeners. Fusion. They blend elements of rock, classical, folk music that's popular and eclectic at the same time. Theatrical. Their sound has a dramatic flair, evoking vivid imagery and emotions, and of course timeless. Despite their peak in the 1970s, Kansas music remains relevant and loved, appealing to multiple generations. What's the craziest thing a fan's ever done to you? Craziest. You've been doing this a long time. There's got to be a few of those kooky. I'm making a series. Steve Lucas or Toto gave me a really good crazy. I mean, he's had a lot of crazy experiences.
I've been mercifully spared some of the worst. But wow. I don't know. I feel like I'm not giving you a good soundbite on this one because there's nothing coming to mind that's like so over the top that maybe stuff happened that I buried something bad. But I feel like I think one of the things is when you find people that knew you way back when and they show up in a completely different context, like in another country, you meet a fan after the show and they drop some knowledge about your hometown or something that they would never know. And I think, yeah, so I think it's one of those things when you get like old hometown buddies or friends or schoolmates or something that just hit you out of the blue.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you via a fan?
Okay.
How about when the lady was crawling up the stage?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one. There's been crazy, but it's still just and one of those oddities. In recent times, like 5 years ago, maybe, we're playing in a smaller performing arts center. And it was one of those where there was steps on either side of the stage that you'd walk up onto the stage. And we started playing Dust in the Wind. And this woman screams out, "That's my favorite song." And she is large and in charge, to say the least. And she just decides she's coming up. And our road manager ran over, grabbed her by the leg, and she just brought him right up with her. Just funny moments.
Force of nature.
Yeah, there are so many. I mean, comes to mind years ago, probably around maybe Monolith tour. We had spots on stage we were lit from below, and it was back like around the time we were doing the Two for the Show live album. And I had this spot that I would stand on with the lights up at me. And this is like playing the Spectrum or something. And I'm standing on my spot looking at my guitar where there's this quite lovely redhead, buck naked, being pressed up against the glass under my feet by Tommy Paley, alias The Pelt, who was working with the sound company. I can see, and he looked like a little gnome. He's laughing his ass off, and I'm trying to play the serious solo, with her all lit up. It's just you open that door, and all kinds of crazy comes in. We had a girl chasing us around that was madly in love with Steve Walsh that wrote this book about their this long love affair and all this stuff. Her husband was apologizing for her, saying she's crazy, and suddenly our bus is rammed. She rammed our bus, and then took off. Well, we had to file a police report, and they finally caught her. We didn't press charges. The husband just had to kind of put her away for a while. We were getting death threats coming from Texas, and we had to get the Texas Rangers involved. There turned out the guy was in prison, but his claim, he wrote Dust in the Wind and was getting screwed by us in the record company and was going to kill us. I had a guy in Boston that for several years claimed to be me.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Of course, did not know this until he died. And his wife, or no, girlfriend, I'm sorry, was writing his obituary. And the people in writing the obituary did a little bit of background check, and they contacted management. And I said, "What?" And come to find out, this guy, for the last like 10 years, owned or worked in a bar. He claimed to be me. The eye patch was a prop. Bands would play there. He wouldn't sit in because he had arthritis and he couldn't play anymore. And he'd just sit there and sign autographs and tell all these tales of being on the road. And I wound up doing a interview TV show with Fox News of Boston about this entire story. I had to get the woman was on the phone with me that wouldn't believe that I was me and that he wasn't. I was a liar. I mean, you know, you can't make these things up.
That is insane.
And I told her and the television, I said, God, if I was going to go to the lengths to tell such a wild tale, I would have picked somebody more interesting.
I hope he wasn't having more fun than you, though. That's all I'm worried about. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
More fun being you than you.
Now that would suck.
Yeah.
Most embarrassing thing, Daryl Sturmer of Genesis said he fell off stage. I said, everyone's fallen off stage, but most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage. See, I saved the kooky questions till the end.
Well, it's always those technical glitches that in the moment you're just humiliated and you're just like, you want to just explain it all to everyone. It's not my fault, and the Millennium Falcon doesn't go into hyperspace. You're just like, no, this is not my fault. It's supposed to work. And so, yeah, it's.
Billy Joel says you do it again, so it means you meant it. You make the mistake.
Right, yeah. And so I think we rely on computers. A lot of the sounds that I play on my keyboards are driving tone banks on the computer that give me the ability to recreate like a dozen sounds at any given time with 4 keyboards. That's the plus. The minus is that you're working with computers and they can be unpredictable. So there are times when you go to hit your big moment and nothing comes out. That happened. I filled in on keys for a couple shows with for Dennis DeYoung and the music of Styx, and sometimes I have a lot of work to do because he wants to just go out and sing lead on a song and not worry so much about the keyboard. So there's plenty to do, even with Dennis on keys, and certain sound effects like intros to Mr. Roboto or something. Somebody tripped the power between the sound check and the show and erased the bank or something. And I went to hit the intro and nothing is happening. And Dennis is looking back at me like, oh, are you not doing this right or something? And I'm like pointing to my finger, playing the keys that are supposed to trigger the sound. And I'm like, it's not happening. And so he's such a pro that he makes a joke out of it and says, oh, we bought that keyboard at Radio Shack anyway. So that's, he knew how to just keep it going, and we came back to it. So those technical glitches really make you sweat, but sometimes there's nothing you can do except just to say, hey, look, this is technology. Sometimes there are technical difficulties, and please stand by.
Have you ever had that, like that imposter, going back to that thing of going, wow, this has turned out pretty good, this career of mine?
I got to tell you, I suffered from, we all have. I mean, I suffered from imposter syndrome many times in my life. And people who I consider very successful have confessed to me in private that they experience it as well. The last people you would think feel that way, but I've been at it for a long, long time. And when the opportunities presented themselves this year, I felt ready, and I felt like I paid my dues, man. I earned this. I scratched and clawed for it. So, I wake up every morning and I say to myself, yeah, I belong here, and I shouldn't second guess anything. And so everything happens for a reason. Roads will lead you to a certain place. So
obviously, with what you've said, I don't think anybody's surprised that a lot of people you grew up with, if you run into them, they're probably not surprised that you're the lead singer of Kansas. I mean, you were the singer guy.
I started, I think, when I was 14, 15 years old. I started at a restaurant in Hillside, Illinois called Q's Pizza. And, started as a busboy, but they had me making pizzas and cooking in the back pretty soon. And it's funny, I've gotten messages from all the people that I used to work with there. They're like, we knew you were going to make it into a big band. You were always in a band, we always enjoyed listening to you sing and stuff. So it was pretty neat to hear back from those people. I mean, when I was, good Lord, 15, 16, 17 years old, so someone had some foresight back then.
We'll have more from the guys in Kansas coming up the next few days. We've interviewed 4 of the guys, including Rich Williams, who's one of the original members. If you want to help the channel, you can donate. There's a PayPal link in the description. Join our Patreon, you'll get early access to all our videos. Or buy a t-shirt. We have a great swag store. The link is in the description. You can buy a cap, a sweatshirt, a coat, a T-top, or a lot of other things. And of course, that helps the channel, gets the word out there. But comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Remember to like them as well. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care of yourself.